Welcome to Courageous Disciples, the podcast for faith driven entrepreneurs, leaders, and purpose driven women who are committed to learning the word, living it out, and leading others with bold faith. Today, I'm excited to have my special guest, Jeris Johnson, leading the conversation on building a relationship with yourself. You don't want to miss this because as a courageous disciple, your next level of faith and follow through starts here. Let's jump in.
Do you think that people even know, do you think that people even recognize that they need to have a good relationship with themselves?
I truly believe that a lot of people don't notice it because they might be used to a certain way of living. They may have come from traumatic experiences, which has put like a stint in how they think about themselves. So they're literally walking around like, if truth be told, like in a paralyzed mindset, thinking that this is how I am and this is how I'll always be. So you either take it or leave it.
Oh, that's good. I hear that all the time. That's one of the things that people are always saying. When you point something out to them, they be like, "Well, that's how I've been. That's how I was when I was a kid." Like, you're not okay. Where you were before, it does not mean that we have to stay there. Living things grow and growing things change. You are alive and well.
Come on.
You are living, right? Then we should be growing. And that means that we're going to change. But this idea of doing things by yourself or even having the time and space to even consider building a relationship with yourself, I didn't really start doing that until after I experienced full-blown depression. And it was the depression, it was the overcoming of the depression. Like, what do I need to do? The reflecting. How did I get here? Why do I feel this? But like all of those things that led me to, oh, these are the things that I actually think of myself. Even though I kind of portray this, I wasn't faking it. I didn't know.
Yeah. Because some people don't know. Some people do not know. And I'm learning to not be so, how can I put it? Hard on myself and hard on other people because, like you said, sometimes people really don't know because this has been their life. Like, it's literally been a repeated cycle of not knowing, like, how to love you, not knowing how to spend time with yourself, not knowing what's right and what's wrong, not knowing what to accept and what to reject. Like, sometimes we just don't know. And then sometimes we know, but we don't want to deal with it at that moment. And see, that was me. I was fully aware, grew up in the safest household you could think of. My parents affirmed me. We had family time. I had father-daughter time, mommy-daughter time. So I grew up in an environment to where I could express how I feel, all that stuff. But life started to happen. And then that's when I started to not recognize myself, which caused me to be reckless. You just doing it just because you lost right now and how I felt. So it's like now I'm unlearning stuff basically. And now I'm in a place to where I want to get back to that place where I enjoy Jeris. Now, I even throughout that process of shenanigans and foolery, like I would still take myself out to eat, still go to the movies. Like, that's cool for me to do. But I will say, last year when my grandmother passed, I think that's when life started to take a turn. And literally last week, like, my mentor had me literally have a day of self-care. Like, you want me to do what? But then I realized how hard that was to enjoy just treating myself. But then I'm also learning too, like, even with my aunt dying this year, I'm learning the joy in solitude. I could be home all day, Courage, and I will enjoy not having TV on, no music. I used to be the person where I had to have noise on, some form of noise. I don't care if the kettle is on, something got to be going. But it's like, I didn't turn on the TV today. I didn't play any music. I literally just was chilling. Like, this is different.
There are levels to getting to know yourself and having a strong relationship with yourself.
I think the first level that people think of, whether they do it or they don't do it, are like the pampering things, right?
Yeah.
Going out to eat, getting their hair and their nails done. Okay, I do that. That is a level of it, because there are some people who aren't even doing that. And I didn't do those like surface level, first level of like hair, nails, taking yourself out to eat. But then the other part of that is, like you said, being alone with yourself, being in the same space, not running from the thoughts. I think the reason that we need so much noise and TV and stuff is because we need something to keep us from really thinking and contemplating about the things that are plaguing us, about the things that are weighing us down. So it's like, if I'm watching TV, my mind is not on my life. I'm watching this. If I got music, if I'm around people, but that silence, I don't know if you know this, that is that's a spiritual discipline. Let me pause. That is silence and solitude. Those are spiritual disciplines. And God is so good. And he just like, man, God is so good. Understanding what has to be right in your mind for you to be able to regularly practice silence and solitude, where I'm not necessarily praying and talking to God. I mean, silence. When I'm not necessarily like reading or taking something in, just sitting in the silence and just being, that's a spiritual discipline. One, it helps to set a godly pace to our lives where we're not running. And two, it puts our hearts and our minds and our souls in a posture, in a position where we can hear from God. I often hear people say things like, I can't hear from God, I prayed. I'm like, you prayed and did what? Well, you prayed and then you got up. Okay, well, when was it going to be God's turn to speak? And if he started speaking, you weren't listening because you already moved on to taking care of the kids or taking care of the house or getting ready for work or thinking about the bills or whatever. You didn't just sit and say, okay, I'm just going to sit here in silence for however long. That is a spiritual discipline, and spiritual disciplines in and of themselves don't lend us to don't transform us to be more like Christ, but it's a means, right? We're less likely to become more like Christ if we never have time of silence and solitude,
Right.
where we're not getting that information. So I love that you talk about that. But I think the genius of it, God is obviously a genius. I think the God of it is, you cannot run from the things that you run from. During the pandemic, people, myself included, just lost our minds, not only because of what the world was facing, but I cannot think of a time. I'm 43 at my big age. I cannot think of a time in my life ever, this whole time I've been living life, where you had to stay in the house. You could not leave your home for months on end unless you were doing, and you not only could you not do it, but you had this internal thing that made you want to come back. There was so much time you couldn't be busy. I was such a busy person before, and I had done some work. That's what I'm saying. I don't even think that if you had asked me, I would have told you there was an issue. I had done a lot of work by the time 2020 come. I was no longer depressed. I had gone through my change and transformation. I knew Christ. I was in ministry and all of those things. But when 2020 came and it forced my pace to a halt, and I couldn't be out serving, right? Forget going out to brunch. I want to say, I'm at the church. I'm serving over here. I'm at this outreach thing. I got an event to go to. Somebody need me. I'm throwing events at my house. It forced me to a halt. And when it stopped, all the things I didn't even know were in there. I can't even tell you I was running from them. Running from them implies that you have knowledge of them. I wasn't even running. But when everything came to a halt, baby, stuff started bubbling up. I was like, no, no, it didn't come from.
Everybody was bananas.
That's been in there. How long has that been deep? How long have I been running from that? So the God of it is that you will be able to see the demons that you are fighting, the lies, the trauma, when you have silence and solitude. And if I'm unable to do it, there is an indicator there that there's something that I need to clean out. Was there ever a time where you were uncomfortable with silence and solitude?
Basically my whole life.
And why do you think that is? And how did you get to this place where you're good now?
Right. You would think as an only child that solitude is what I love. No, I've always been 100% extroverted. And even being the only child, I still wanted to be around people. Like, I had my days where I didn't mind being by myself, but there are a lot of times where I'm like, Mom, Dad, y'all need to make another kid. Like, give me some siblings. But I feel like it literally took, unfortunately, my grandmother passing June 3rd of last year for me to understand that, Jeris, you have got to deal with you. Because for one, my grandmother, she was one of my safe places. So she was that person where I'd be like, Granny, let me vent. I am ticked off. I'm irritated. Da 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 da. Like, now it's like, wow, like my go-to person isn't here anymore. When life hits, sometimes you don't be thinking about what Jesus said. You're not thinking about the word that's hidden in your heart, because it feels like it's packed with a ton of bricks on it, so you can't even find the words. So yeah, I definitely would say that's when I started to realize, like, you got a lot of gunk. Because even during the pandemic, I was in the house, but I was still busy, because that's really when entrepreneurship really started kicking in, because I was making masks and earrings and shirts. So I was busy. But even in the busyness, I was still running from what I knew I needed to deal with. So I didn't deal with nothing during the pandemic. I just wanted to make that money. Give me my money. Just give me my money.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be serious. Press God. But yeah, I grief is what taught me to learn how to be quiet. And I feel like too, because I'm also taking the necessary steps. This time around, I'm literally seeking help. I have a mentor. I'm taking I'm in grief counseling. I'm taking another mentoring class. So, but they're all Bible based, but the core of all of them is learning to deal with Jeris. So I can't run. Like, I'm literally at that point where I don't want to run from me, because at the end of the day, I'm in my body. So I can think I'm running away, but when I look in the mirror, I'm looking at me. And I've learned that because I ran so much, it literally became like a honestly, it's like it felt like an infection, if the truth be told, an infection that won't go away until you get the right antibiotics to wipe it out. Or it just felt like, or I think a better example would probably be like when you have a wound, like I just kept putting bandages over it. But I wasn't even using antibiotics. I wasn't even using no was it Neosporin? I wasn't even, I was like, up, it's bleeding. I'm just need to replace a band-aid. Up, it's bleeding again. And it's like, ain't nothing healing. It's the same. And as soon as you take that bandage off, it's the pain is still there. I just kept putting the bandage on the same wound that wasn't healing.
You said something really good, talking about the help that you're getting. And I think that we miss that sometimes, that getting to know ourselves and getting to the bottom of what's going on with us and healing and growing in any area of our life, it often requires somebody else. The word of God talks about us being many members of one body belonging to one another. And so this idea that we can be expected to grow in any area of our lives, and we're going to do so in complete isolation without help from anybody else, it's ungodly. It's not a godly thing. It's not a Bible thing. Like, stop it. Sometimes when you take a look at yourself and the Lord starts revealing something to you, whether he's revealing it to you through grief, through separation. And first of all, I said grief, but that really covers a lot. Whether it's the death of a loved one, the end of a marriage, separation, relationships that are ending, whether they are romantic relationships, family relationships, financial trouble. These are all things that we grieve when there's a transition that happens that is negative for us. It takes us from a place that we once were that was positive to some place that we don't want to be. We start to grieve the thoughts and the future expectations that we have. Grief comes in many different forms, but sometimes it takes that for God to get your attention, for you to look at the mirror at yourself and all the things that you're looking at. You're like, okay, I'm looking at grief counseling and I have a mentor and I'm in this mentoring program and all of these things, they still point to you working on you. And this is what I truly believe. Like, if y'all don't get nothing else, the strengthening your relationship with yourself, it starts with getting to know you. When you think about the strongest relationships that you have, you know those people.
Yes.
They are people that you know, and that relationship becomes closer the more vulnerable you are with them. That's when it becomes more intimate, right? The more time that you spend with them, the way that you take care of them, the way that you talk to them. And it's one of the principles that I used to teach all the time. You know, you have to have a relationship with yourself, the relationship between you and yourself. How can I have a good relationship with myself when I mistreat myself, right? So it starts, like, if you start thinking about, how do I have strong relationships with other people? How am I showing up and how do I expect them to show up for me? And then turn that mirror around and ask yourself, am I treating myself the way I expect to be treated by others? And am I treating myself the way I treat other people? I had to get to know myself to realize, like, I get it that everybody else is a night out in my house. I'm not. I'm better when I go to bed. So I'm going to go to bed. That is improving my relationship with myself when I'm making sure that I'm getting what I need. And that is what you have to do. So if somebody's listening to this and they're like, okay, that's great, I'm ready to start this journey, what are a couple practical things, recommendations, whether they're books, pockets, like anything that you can recommend that you feel like would help them on this journey in strengthening their relationship with themselves?
Whew. For starters, join Bold Faith with Courage Molina. Start there.
That's a great place to start.
Because if truth be told, as a believer, literally all of our answers are for real in the Bible. Another way to start would be it took years, but I had to acknowledge I need help. Something ain't right. Just acknowledging that you need help. Like, that's really what opened up the door for healing to begin. Because if you're going in like, there's nothing wrong with me, you're wasting time.
Yeah.
The way life is, ain't no need to go back and forth. You either want it or you don't.
Yeah.
I do feel like there's this book by this author named Jamie Allen. It's called Get Out of Your Head. Oh my gosh.
That book changed my life. Yeah, I second that.
So yes, I would say Bible with Bold Faith. I would definitely say Get Out of Your Head. Journaling is a big deal. I used to be a major journaler. That's not even a word, I don't think. I don't know. It might be. Okay. I was a big journaler. At one point I was big on it, then I stopped. But now that my mentor has been on my neck about doing it every day, I see why. Like, because you need to literally, what do they call it? Brain dumping. You literally need to get all that out day by day. I mean, I should just, do I put all my other plugs in there too? I mean, at this point.
Go ahead.
Okay, mentoring with Erica Davenport. She pursues purpose. She's on Instagram. Grief counseling for those, because there might be somebody who might be grieving. It's www.griefshare.org. You type in your location of where you live, and it will show like a list of different locations. Wow. And then I'm also taking another mentoring course called Mastering the Mentoring You with Dr. Janice Cooper. And that helps you deal with you. So all of these things, it's helping me deal. And then also, even when you talk about boundaries, like, it's teaching me boundaries, like learning to be okay with saying no. Like, and you don't have to be doing anything that day. Well, why don't you want to hang out? Because I said no.
Yeah.
Well, you're not doing anything today. I am sitting on my couch. I'm chilling in my moo-moo. Yes. That's what I'm doing today. Yeah. I'm very much doing that. But yeah, journaling and taking out some self-care days. And it doesn't have to be mani-pedi, because everybody's, as from a woman's perspective, everybody don't want a mani or a pedi. Just go to the park. Like, go for it. Like, for me, I love to go for a drive. Ooh, with the windows down, and it's the evening, and the cool breeze, and my song is on. Love a good drive. Get you some ice cream. Like, the goal is to just do something that makes you happy but still don't negate the fact that you gotta deal with you. Like, you can have those little happy moments of treating yourself, celebrating your wins and all that jazz, but you have to now more than ever get to the root of what is ailing you, because if the truth be told, a lot of these doctors' offices are filling up, and it ain't because people are saying I'm sick because of some food I ate. Because the number one question a doctor will ask you, are you stressed? Is there unforgiveness going on? Like, these are the main things. So if you already know it's something you got to deal with, go ahead and just deal with it, because it literally affects your life. And if the truth be told, it affects generations to come. Like, and I refuse to have my babies dealing with my baggage. No, I'm gonna heal now before they come. I don't even know who my husband is yet. But if you're watching this, sir,
I'm gonna have everybody's contact information. You're acting a little fleshy. You get it when you do this right here. You got a little fleshy, but I'll have.
I did. I'm back. I'm back in the spirit. I'm back in the spirit on the Lord's day. But it's like, I don't. Why? It's like, if I'm in good health to deal with this right now, why not? Why not heal right now?
Yeah.
Like, and nowadays, because unlike our parents' generation, the internet wasn't popping like that. They didn't have no internet. They had collect, call, and word of mouth. Yeah. Like, now we have Google. There are, oh my gosh, so many different resources, like free resources to get help. Get you some therapy too, because I'm looking at therapists as well. Grace Life International, they have a great amount of different therapists. So I feel like just figure out what works for you, but give yourself grace, because healing is an ongoing process. And I will say, I don't know if this is right to say, but don't overdo it, but get it done at the same time.
Yeah.
Choose one of these resources if you may, but just start. Like, you starting is literally your healing. You're already healing because you're starting. Yeah. And be okay with relationships changing. Because that's gonna be a biggie. Your relationships, all of them ain't gonna be with you at the end.
It doesn't survive. That's the truth. Every relationship don't survive it.
I feel like when you're healing, is giving survival of the fittest. Yeah. Like, for real, for real. But I feel like it's going to hurt, because I'm currently in that place where it's hurting. It's hurt my feelings, and God won't let me be a thug no more. So now I got to cry and release. But I realized that in this, it's tough, but it's also a beautiful thing, because why would you not want to be happy? Like, why serve God if you don't want to have peace? Why serve God if you don't want to have joy? Why serve God if you don't like want to be smiling and the smile be real? Let's start there.
You said so many great resources. I'm gonna actually have like a resource little section for the show notes, and as always, I'll send that out in the email list this week. And make sure, if you want to get the resource stuff, because I'll put the resource stuff in there too, you want to get on the email list so that you can get those things, so you can find out about all the things that we got going on, how you can connect to Jeris, and how you can connect to those resources she's talking about. And I'm always about sharing. I don't understand, not wanting to share what has helped you. It may not help everybody, but this is what helped me. So I'm going to name names and I'm going to drop links, right? And y'all know Erica Davenport, almost at her middle name. Y'all know Erica Davenport, that's my best friend. That's my best friend. So
that's my mentor, y'all.
Yes, I love that.
So, she's been getting me all the way together.
I could not close this out without talking about Courageous Disciples. I want y'all to enroll in the membership, Courageous Disciples membership. Who are we? We are students that are serious about being in the Word. We iron. We're not paper towels. We iron in here, so we getting this word for real, because it's what we want to do. We understand it's the foundation of all things. We understand it's how God speaks to us present day. We are believers on the move. We're not just getting in the word and getting a revelation and not doing anything. We are putting our faith in action. And we're sisters. We are like family. Somebody gonna get on. You're gonna make a friend that y'all gonna be on FaceTime together. Y'all gonna be trying to go to brunch together. Y'all gonna be trying to link up, meet each other at conferences together, travel. celebrating. We celebrate and mourn. We encourage and challenge. We correct and rebuke all together. And so you can go to courageousdisciples.com to find out more information. If you love this episode, you know what to do. Like, share. You can rate and review. If you felt like this was a 5-star episode, then give us 5 stars and review it. Okay, guys, we love you. All right, I love y'all, Jeris. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.